Right. Hello, everybody. I'm Stephen Jaffe. I'm the president of the Democrats of the Desert. This is our regular membership meeting for July 24th. We have a good speaker today that we're expecting shortly. I just have a couple of announcements, and I'm going to let a couple people talk for a minute or two and give short reports. First, I want to talk about the recall of our governor. What I was saying to the smaller group when we were gathering here is that I don't think there's a lot of undecided people in the state on the recall issue. There may be some, but not a lot. But the key to defeating this recall is getting out the Democratic voters to vote. There's a significant Democratic majority in the state. So the key to winning or defeating the recall is to getting those Democratic voters out to vote. We're in an off-year election, which will diminish the turnout. So to the extent you are thinking about where should I focus efforts, if you're interested in assisting, you should focus your efforts on registered Democratic voters who you think might not actually vote. With mail-in ballots, as I said, nobody has to leave their house, get in line, stand in the rain, or even wait in line. It's really very simple. So it's just a matter of making a minor effort to get out there and fill in the ballot and vote. I'm going to state something that should be obvious, but it is not. The ballot may be confusing to some people, because if you go in thinking, yes, I like Governor Newsom, and you vote yes, you have voted to recall him. So people who like the governor need to understand, to retain the governor, you have to vote in the negative. You have to vote no. And that may seem simple, but it's not. And there will be, I'm sure, some people who vote one way and don't realize what's really going on. My next announcement is that there will be no member meeting in August. We are taking August off for several reasons. One, because a lot of people in the Coachella Valley are not around in August. Secondly, because it's very hot. And third, because we want our members to focus on working on the recall. So the next member meeting is going to be two things. It's going to be in September, and it's going to be our first, we are resuming in-person meetings at the same place where we used to gather at the Date Palm Country Club. They are donating their space. Two of our members, who I love to talk, Larry and Terry, who live there, volunteered to go down there and sign up all the documents. So we're all set to go on the fourth Saturday in September in person. And I hope to see you all in person, masked if you want, if we're still in that situation. But that's really what's in mind. I'm going to turn it over to Ellie Kay, who is now the District 9 Regional Director for the State Democratic. I'm sorry, 19, left off the one. Sorry, Ellie. She is also, I think she kept, did you keep your hat as the Democratic headquarters lady too?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay.
Oh, yes, sir.
She also runs the Democratic headquarters for the Valley in Cathedral City. And she can talk about that and when that's going to start opening and stuff. So I'm going to, Ellie, take a minute or two and give your report to the members, please.
Be happy to, and thank you so much. I appreciate this. There's a few things going on, obviously. Rick Weingard's on this call at the meeting as well. He's our chief guy at the headquarters, and yes, we are open, sort of. We will let people come in, but only if you keep your mask on. We are still maintaining protocols. So what we are doing, however, and this is part of what the California Democratic Party is doing and what the Riverside County Democratic Party is doing, we now have postcards at the office. We're getting another 400 in. We have approximately 600 in the office now. Although some folks today, Dory Smith, thank you so much, took some cards. And what we have for you is this. We have a page. There's 45 addresses and phone numbers on each page. We will give you the cards for those 45 people that you can write postcards to. But I came up with an idea this morning that we're going to add on to this, because on those sheets with the address, it also has phone numbers. And it occurred to me that it would be a really good idea if you take the postcards and you take a sheet to write your postcards, that you also keep that sheet, because what we'd like for you to do, and I know people don't like this, but please think about this election. What we'd like you to do is keep the phone numbers and the sheets, because around the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th of August, when the ballots start arriving in your mailboxes, we're going to want you to text those people or phone those people and say, hi, you got my postcard. Are you ready to vote? So we're going to make this a two-prong effort. Now, the postcards are very simple. You will be given a script, which is very simple. And the script is basically this: vote no on question 1, and don't even bother to vote on question 2. The governor is not on question 2. Question 2 is right now the 43 people that are running to replace our governor. So don't even bother to vote. Your ballot will not be invalidated for not voting for question 2. So vote no on question 1, seal up that ballot and put it in the mail. They are pre-stamped. You don't even have to buy stamps. Now the postcards, no, you will have to buy stamps. And for those of you that really have a financial burden, we're willing to help you out on that. So the office is open Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday and Wednesday, we are open from 10 until 4. We have the postcards. We have the addresses. We want you to come in. Tomorrow, there's two big things happening. Again, taking the lead on Region 19 as your director. Tomorrow, the Riverside County Democratic Party is going to have a rally, a virtual rally from 1 to 3. And there's going to be phone banking going on. There's going to be, let's get out there and do what we have to for a governor. And at 4 o'clock, I'm having a Region 19 directors meeting. I will post for you how you can connect up to it on Zoom. Again, of course, it's a Zoom meeting. It's going to be short. I'm not going to talk a long time about, we've got a resolution we want to get through, and I just want to say hi to everybody. So that's tomorrow at 4 o'clock until 5. So I'll put that up on the chat room. And thank you, Stephen, for the opportunity to say hello to everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ellie. Marcy, can you take about 1 minute and talk about what we're doing in our membership drive here?
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks to all of you who have paid your membership for 2021, either renewals or new, and please invite your friends also. We are continuing to gather members throughout the year, and then we'll have our annual membership drive in November that will be officially for the 2022 year. We have 6 different membership categories. So we have something for every affordability, and we want to make sure that everybody is included and feels that they're welcome and a part of the important work that we do. One thing we talked about at our board meeting that I think it's important for all of us to talk about is the fact that after a presidential election, sometimes we Democrats have a chance, have this, we just sort of sit down and we're tired, and it's very frustrating, and all of those things that have gone on from the presidential election. And we need to be on our toes, and we need to be a strong membership group working every year for every election, be it local, be it a recall, be it the national elections coming up. And of course, we know 2022 is going to be a busy year. So we want to invite you to join. You can do that online, or you can do that by check. And I will put the online connection, the link into the chat. So you'll be able to do it now or after this phone call if you'd like to do that. So thank you very much for being our member here.
Thank you, Marcy. Our speaker is here. I'm going to talk about him a little bit, and then I'm going to turn it over to him. Our speaker is David Campos, and I am proud and honored to introduce David, and I am especially proud to say that David is not only one of our state party leaders, but is my friend. David and I have known each other for a while, and he's a great guy. So I want to talk about him a little bit before he speaks. David, and this is coming from a bio that I grabbed about him. David is a formerly undocumented youth whose parents brought him to the country at age 14 to get away from political turmoil in Guatemala. David didn't speak English when he first came here, but he managed to graduate first in his class from Thomas Jefferson High School in South Central LA, which is a tough area. He earned scholarships too and worked his way through Stanford and Harvard Law School, which is impressive to me as a lawyer. David has dedicated his life to public servant. He's been a deputy city attorney. He's been general counsel to the San Francisco School Board. He has been a San Francisco police commissioner. He's been a member of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, which is a very interesting position because you're both a city councilman and a county supervisor when you sit there. David has recently served as the deputy county executive for this county of Santa Clara, and he oversaw, you can imagine, it's a very large county with millions of people, and he oversaw that operation there. David is currently chief of staff for San Francisco District Attorney Chesa Bodine. David has been involved in politics for almost 20 years. He has been a member of the San Francisco Democratic Central Committee and has been the chairman of that committee. And from 2017 until from 2017, and he was recently elected and currently holds the title. He is one of the vice chairs of the state California Democratic Party. So I am honored and pleased to introduce my friend, David Campos, to talk to our membership. Thanks, David.
Thank you, Stephen, for that very kind introduction. It's so amazing to see you, and thank you, Democrats of the Desert, for extending this invitation. And I can honestly tell you that no one is more prepared, organized, and energetic than Stephen Jaffe. So I'm glad to see him in this role because he brings the energy that he had in San Francisco to the desert, and we all need that. So let me simply begin by noting that we as the 5 officers, and there is the chair, the 2 vice chairs, the controller, and the secretary. From the moment that we got elected, we have lived up to the promise that we made of hitting the ground running. And one of the things that we all committed to doing, which we actually started from day one, is to work together as a team. One of the reasons that I ran for this position is that I saw a great deal of division among the leadership, and leaders fighting with each other and not really working well together. Now, we're all Democrats. So as Democrats, we obviously have different views, and we often are on opposite sides of an issue. That's what makes us Democrats. We have representation from across the political spectrum. But I do think that as Democrats in this time, we have a responsibility and an obligation to understand that we have to put aside whatever differences we have to work together on common objectives, because the other side is relentless. And unless we come together, they will win. And I'm proud that every decision that has been taken by the leadership so far has been done jointly. And we began, by the way, immediately with the appointment of committees. Now, I can tell you, having been an elected official, that appointing individuals to committees is never an easy thing, because you always have more people that are interested than you have seats to provide. And in this case, we had more than 750 applicants and, fewer than 300 or so seats that we could assign. And so it was, as you can imagine, a challenge to do the appointment process by consensus, but we did it. The 5 of us got together and took all the applications and tried to really make the best decision possible, knowing that there were many great people that unfortunately were not appointed simply because, we didn't have enough seats for everyone. And in the appointment process, we really tried to strike a balance between protecting and preserving the institutional knowledge and the experience of people who have been doing this for a long time, and at the same time bringing in new people into the party. The appointments reflect the diversity of California, because I do believe that to be able to connect with the 10 million Democrats that we as party leaders collectively represent, that the leadership has to reflect the diversity of that population. And I believe that committee assignments do that. The main thing right now for us is to really roll up our sleeves and to begin the work around the recall. We are working very closely with the Newsom campaign to make sure that we defeat the recall. And something that Stephen was saying as I hopped on the Zoom is really true, that turnout is going to be key in this election. And I'll be honest with you, that what I hear from people who have been watching the polls and seeing what's happening out there, this is going to be a lot closer than we all thought. Now, I believe that in the end, the governor and all of us will be successful, but that requires a great deal of work. We cannot be complacent and assume, as many people did when Gray Davis was governor, that recall would not succeed. I think it is really, really possible that this could, and that's why we have to do everything we can to make sure that we turn out our members. Now, I will add one thing, and then I'm happy to take questions. One of the things that both Betty Yee and I ran on as we were running for vice chairs was that we were going to focus on what's happening on the ground throughout the state. We believe that to be successful, we have to empower the various regions, the 21 regional directors and the 50 plus central committees, and all of the hundreds of Democratic clubs in the state. I do believe that the success of the party depends on what happens at the local level, which is why we already started meeting with regional directors, and we're in the process of meeting with the chairs of every central committee to find out what's happening at the local level and how we can support the local parties, the local regions, and the clubs, because we know that it is their work that will make the success possible. So with that, I will open it up to questions. And again, I want to thank all of you for your involvement, for what you do, and happy to take questions.
Well, I have one question, David. I'll lead off here. I know there's a minor controversy over the fact that the governor is not identified as a Democrat on the ballot. I'm wondering whether you feel that will be detrimental to his surviving the recall or not. I personally don't think it's a big deal, but I don't know. And you're smarter than I am on this. So
No, I'm not sure that I'm smarter than you, Stephen. You're pretty smart yourself, but I think that it's not insurmountable. I think it means that we have to do more work. And quite frankly, and I'll say it among us Democrats. I'm not going to say this publicly. I think it's one of the frustrations that I have is that the execution on the part of the Newsom campaign has not been what it should be. These are unforced errors that they have made. And as a lawyer, I cannot imagine how anyone in such a huge and important campaign could miss the deadline to file as a Democrat, especially because that really was the whole point of the campaign, to talk about how this is a partisan effort. I think what it means, to be honest, is that those of us that are working on this are going to have to go an extra step, to make sure that people know that even though he's not, that could be, that this is a Democrat governor that we're talking about.
Right.
But again, the focus is on the question one, make sure that we all vote no.
David,
right,
this is Dennis Sheehan, and you kind of answered my question on what you could share with us as to why your thinking is this election is going to be much closer than maybe originally thought, please.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of factors. I think that one of them, which I think is actually the main factor, to be honest, is COVID. I think that if you had asked people a month or 2 months ago, that the sense that many of us had at that time was that by the time the election happened, that we were mostly done with COVID, and that we were, in the process of coming out of the pandemic, and that things would be more open. That, of course, unfortunately, is not the case because of what's happening with the Delta variant. And as a result of that, you see cases going up. And I think that ultimately that could very well, be the thing that makes it harder for not just Gavin Newsom, but anyone. And so I think that COVID, in that sense, changes the equation. And that's why we have to be more vigilant. I think that the other thing is that because it's not, this is not a big election year, it's hard to get people out, especially Democrats. The turnout, unless we work hard to make it so, is supposed to be, low. And so I think that we have a Republican Party that unfortunately is more energized around this. So we have to do better.
I'm going to call on, Ellie wants to ask a question of her boss here.
Yes, hi.
Hi,
How are you? It's good to see you again. And
thank you for all you do.
well, thank you, David. A couple of things. Number one, I want to say congratulations to the appointments that were made on the standing committee. I've had some folks complain to me that, I've been a Democrat and on the committees for 4,722 years. Why wasn't I picked again? Well, when you look at what the diversity is with age and sort of the balance and all, I got to tell you, I think you folks did a terrific job of bringing new people in and maintaining some of those folks that have seniority, if you will. I think it looks really good. The other thing, though, that I'm going to disagree with you on, David, is that from the Democratic headquarters of the desert, I have to tell you, I'm seeing a lot of enthusiasm from Democrats on this election. People they've been holed up for over a year now with the pandemic. Now they're able to get out a little bit, and albeit hopefully they're wearing a mask and hopefully they've been vaccinated. But this is energizing people, of giving them something to do again. And they're feeling good about having something to do. Maybe I'm being a Pollyanna, but I'm just going by what I'm hearing and what I'm feeling and what we're seeing from people calling the headquarters and saying, what can I do? So I'm personally a little hopeful, and I'm wondering too, is one other quick compliment. The outreach that's gone on from the party to people like myself, regional directors, et cetera, is the best I've ever seen. And yeah, I'm one of those oldies who's been around a lot. So I say thank you for the outreach that's going on. It's really remarkable. Thank you.
Well, Ellie, thank you very much. And I am happy to be wrong about the enthusiasm. And so hopefully, I think that it's the legal training that gets in the way sometimes, where, lawyers, you prepare for the worst,
Okay, well, that's good.
and you prepare for the worst, but that makes it so that if the worst happens, you're ready. But if it doesn't, then God, we'll be okay. But
Well, maybe we're just energized down here in Riverside County.
well, I appreciate
But
that.
we plan to work really hard to make sure that those that are not so energized get energized. So thank you.
Thank you very much for what you do.
Chris and then Dory.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, hi, David. Welcome.
Thank you.
And my question perhaps looks ahead a little bit, but
Mhm.
it seems like this recall effort has been all too easy. And I'm wondering if there's anything that we can do in the future, not to eliminate the possibility at all, but to perhaps make the standard a little higher, the bar a little higher, that needs to be reached in order to conduct a recall. I have a follow-up question too that I just thought of.
Mhm.
Is it possible, if this fails, that they might go next year and try to recall?
Well, thank you for that question, and I do think that as in hopefully Ellie and others are right, and we will do well. And as much as I'm a pessimist, I am confident that in the end we will prevail. But I do think that you raise a very important question. People should have the right to recall their elected officials, but I do believe that reform is needed, because the way the system works right now, the recall efforts are tools that could actually be used to paralyze governance. And that happens not only at the state level, but also at the local level. I'll tell you this, I am chief of staff to a district attorney that was elected a year and a half ago. And the law allows recalls, a number of recalls to happen at the same time. He's actually facing 2 recalls. And one of them is by folks that by Republicans, and another one is by folks who were part of the campaign of the losing candidate. And so I do think that there is a need for reform, because this process is being abused. And I'm not saying that there should be no opportunity, no ability to recall someone, but I think that right now it's being exploited, and we need to rectify that. And the other thing that I would note is that I think that you're always wanting to think ahead, and we shouldn't just be working on the recall. We should be working on the recall with an eye toward what we need to do in 2022, because that's going to be an uphill battle on a number of fronts, including keeping the House of Representatives.
Thank you, Dory, Patrick, and then Steve Brooks.
Okay. Hi, David.
Short questions, please.
Okay, quickly. I loved the coordinated campaign during the Biden campaign, and I hope that the party will do that again. I thought it was effective. That's enough on that. You talked about us pulling together. Can the California Democratic Party put some pressure on Dianne Feinstein regards the filibuster? Because it seems to me she is not pulling with the rest of us.
Well, I think that it should, and I have gotten in trouble because, speaking just for myself, I just thought that she hasn't really been representing people like me, who are members of this party. I mean, the reality is that the filibuster, has been in place for a long time, and it's a relic that deserves to go, and that is being used to get in the way of what the vast majority of Americans want. So I will work hard to make that happen. Whether we're successful remains to be seen, but I agree with you.
Good, thank you.
Okay, Patrick? Unmute.
Okay, hi, this is Patrick. Nice seeing you.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you. This is a follow-up to Chris's question. Specifically regarding the recall laws, Is it a state law or is it in the state constitution that allows recalls to be so easily done? I mean, we have a state of what, 40 million people, and only 1.5 million, signatures were required to do a recall. That doesn't seem right to me, and it seems, I don't know where this law is or how hard it's going to be to change, and if the Democrats are willing to do some legislation to change it.
That's an excellent question, Patrick. And I honestly, having looked at the legality of that, my sense would be that if you are amending the process by which voters through the ballot recall and elected, that is likely. And I haven't looked at this as a lawyer. I haven't done the legal research yet, but I imagine that is likely to require going to the ballot to reform that. I'm not entirely sure that the state legislature will be able to do that on its own. But it's a great question, and I will actually look up the answer. I'll look into it, and I'm happy to pass the information along to Stephen, because that's an excellent question.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Steve Brooks.
Hi, David.
Hi, Steve.
I just wanted to point out something. I think that I understand it properly, but there's no runoff for the recall, as I understand it, which means that anybody could win by a plurality, which to me is an extremely powerful tool when you tell Democrats that somebody could win with a minority of the vote and become governor. I think that scares the bejesus, at least out of Democrats, and maybe a lot of Republicans, because it's just a free-for-all then. And I think that's a really valuable tool to make sure people understand that that's what could happen. So because they may think that there's going to be, some candidates running, and then there'll be a runoff, so somebody will get more than 50%. Not true. So that's scary as hell, because anybody could get elected then. They're just total, because there's 41, or I guess Ellie said 43. Anyway, if it's 43 now.
There's 43 that are running.
Yeah,
Yes.
that means if they split up the vote and one person gets 20%, say, they could win the vote. I mean, it's insane. And I think people need to know that.
Well, it happened before. I mean, that's how Arnold Schwarzenegger got elected. And that's why I think, I think it's smart that people, know that they understand that, but also the main thing is to defeat question one, to make sure that we vote no on the recall, and that people know that, so long as you do that, you don't have to worry about the other 43 options, because none of those options is a good option. But it requires defeating question one.
Right. I'll just throw in, with 43 competitors on question two, if there is a disaster and question one, if we lose the governor, it is not unreasonable to think that we're going to have a governor who got elected with 5 or 10 or 15% of the vote, because 43 people splitting the opposing vote is a tremendous number of pieces to cut this pie into. So it's even scarier than just a minority winner. It could be a microscopic minority winner. All right.
And one thing that we work hard this time around, and as you may remember, during the Davis recall, you actually had some Democrats, even the lieutenant governor, who put their name on the ballot as potential candidates should the recall prevail. And
right.
I am very proud of the fact that we work hard to make sure that no one did that. No major candidate did that, because I think that just lends credibility to the recall. We have to defeat it. It's just not an option. So I'm glad that didn't happen this time.
Dory, all right. This will be the last question for David. Dory has another question.
Okay.
Priscilla, one comment.
Oh, okay. Priscilla, you want to go ahead?
I didn't see Priscilla. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Just one of the things that we did with the Biden campaign and others that is really easy is to ask everybody to email their entire email list with why I'm voting no on the recall. So there, and then you can give whatever reasons you want, but you can do it from home. It doesn't cost anything. And we know that word of mouth from people you know is the most powerful persuader usually for reminding people to vote no. So that's something that I think every club, every Democrat in California can do easily and quickly and persuasively. That's all.
Thank you for that. Word of mouth is key. That is so true. Thank you for that comment. Absolutely, Priscilla.
Okay. So David, hi, and Dory again, and thank you for being here. My second question is related to universal health care coverage or Medicare for all. Is the California Party going to support that for all Californians and then all Americans? I know there's somewhat of a push by Newsom and legislators that California go to that for Californians. Isn't that true? And is the party behind that? Because other states are going to look to us, not the Republican-led ones, but other states, I think.
Yeah. Well, I certainly hope so. I am a big proponent of Medicare for all, and I think that the bill that Ash Kalra and others brought forward, that we need to make sure that that eventually is successful. I hope the party goes there, and quite frankly, I think that to be able to connect with a lot of voters around the recall and around the next election, we need to talk about healthcare because the pandemic illustrated why there is such a huge need, and especially the communities that were the most impacted by COVID. They're the ones that need that healthcare, and quite frankly, they're the ones that haven't been voting, and that's why I think that to be relevant to those communities, we need to embrace that. But that's, I speak for myself. I don't speak for the party as a whole on that. And I certainly will work to make sure the party gets there.
Good, thank you.
All right,
Thank
so I will usurp, I'll break my own rule and ask the last question here. It's important to me. We have a new member here, and I had lunch with him not too long ago, and he and I agreed that I'll use his phrase, the DNA of most of the issues we're talking about really distills down to the issue of campaign finance reform, because it is the money that fuels pretty much all the other issues that are being debated. And I want to know if the party, if that issue is on the radar of the state party as something that needs to be addressed, either politically or legislatively or both. And I'd be interested in your views on that.
I think it is with some, to be completely honest. I think that everyone is there. And I certainly believe in campaign finance reform. I think that that's something that the party as a whole should embrace. I'll tell you, though, that it's a challenging issue because, unfortunately, even if we try to pass legislation that gets us there and promotes more public financing, we have a U.S. Supreme Court that doesn't really that will probably not let that stand. And so I do think that we need to think more long term. But I personally believe that there's too much money in politics. And I think that corporations have too much influence because of that. And I think that as Democrats, we should try to limit that. And I do believe that public financing in elections is an investment that is worth making. I think in the end, I think that it actually saves more money to taxpayers to do that because it lessens the influence of people that, because of their money, ultimately can influence what happens on very critical policy matters. So, we have that in San Francisco for most elections, not all of them. I think we should have that at the state level, and I think the party should push for that.
Well, wearing my lawyer hat for a second, I think you're right that the Supreme Court would likely strike down limits or caps or formulas on contributions. Excuse me. I wonder if a plan or a scheme of public financing of campaigns would remove that immediate threat, because everyone would be essentially treated exactly the same, and nobody could make the campaign contributions. I'm just thinking out loud that it's something
Yeah.
to consider. Yeah,
I think legally, the court will not allow limits on contributions, but obviously it can't stop us from actually creating a very robust public finance system.
right,
And I think that's the counter.
right. Okay.
Right.
All right. I think we've run out of questions.
Thank you, everyone.
Probably
Thank
run
you
out
for
of
inviting
answers.
me.
Oh,
Really
thank you very
appreciate
much.
this.
It was a great, very educational, and we appreciate it very much, David. Now that we're back in person, I'm sure I'll probably see you in
Well,
person soon.
You know what? I'm making a point of going, not just by Zoom, but at some point physically going to all parts of the state. We're meeting in we have our quarterly officer meetings that we're having in different parts of the state. I hope to come to the desert. I actually have been in the desert in August, and I know what it's like to be outdoors with 120 degrees. I actually love it. I love it. I'm not sure that my bulldog liked it, but I look forward to seeing you in person at some point.
Okay, thank you, David. And
Thank
I
you.
will be,
Thank
we'll be
you.
in touch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Very welcome. Dory, your hand is still up. Do you want to talk?
Yes, and actually, I wanted a minute, if you don't mind, Stephen, for Priscilla to talk about another effort we have locally to support Newsom in the recall. Priscilla, you want to talk about the letters, the communiques? It was her idea during Biden, and we're resurrecting that idea and using it to fight the recall. Is Priscilla still there?
Yep, I'm here. Yeah, we are trying to collect a robust group of people to write letters to the editor of our various newspapers. The Desert Sun has been good. We had one printed today that was written by a DOD member. And it's one way to get the word out, to vote no on the recall and to support Newsom in all that he has done. We will, Dory and I are kind of combining on this. And then obviously whatever letters are written and printed, we will send copies of those around to the clubs and ask them also to put those on their website. And you can obviously post them on Facebook, Twitter, any other mass communication tool that you use and that you would like to include in the message. So if you have people who will either write letters or who will be someone who will be happy to take a letter, take a look at it, and then send it from their computer and sign their name to it. Even though they might not like to do the writing, they might be more than willing to pass the message along. So if you find people who are willing to write letters, please send their name and email address and perhaps phone number to Dory and me. My email is, oh, this is such a bad one. I think it's out there
Let's put them
somewhere.
in chat.
Why don't you put it in the chat, Priscilla?
I'll put it in chat.
We'll
Okay.
put them in
People
chat.
can- People
We'll
can
put both
grab
in
it
chat.
that way.
Yeah, we need more writers and more signers. We have lots of ideas on how to support him.
Right. I don't know. I'm aware of two people who are new members. One of them is Anthony Coates, another one who just identified herself in the chat, Lisa Angel. So welcome to both of you. Lisa, are you able to hear me? Can you unmute? there you go.
Oh, yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, yes, thank you.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you want to introduce yourself and just say a few words about yourself, that would be great. We can get to know you.
Oh, sure. So I actually was born and raised up in Napa Valley, but I've been living in Washington State most recently, and we came down about 1.5 years ago. And I'm a realtor here in town, and that's how I got to know Marcy, and she invited me, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The other new member, Anthony, had to leave, but I did get to know him a little bit, and I'm going to talk about him a little bit here in his absence. Anthony is a highly experienced Democratic political consultant, pundit, former elected official. He's been working in politics for a very long time, actually worked for Teddy Kennedy when he was in his 20s. And is very well connected, particularly in the Eastern Democratic establishment. So we welcome him. Are there any other new members that are here that I have missed? Because I'm not as up to date as maybe I should be. Bonnie, yes. Can you say hello for us and talk about yourself a little bit?
Hello.
Hi.
I've been in your club before in the past, so I'm rejoining. I'm also a member of the Sun City Democratic Club, and I've been in the Valley 10 years and previously in the Santa Barbara area, and I was in the Democratic Club up there as well.
Okay, well, welcome. We're glad to see you back and welcome you into the fold here. We've got a few minutes left, so about 10 minutes. I'm gonna throw it open here. I know this is gonna be dangerous, but I'm gonna throw it open to anybody that would like to bring up new business or discussion topics for the club, whether it's your vision for where we should be going in the future or comments on present day politics and what we're doing. Does anybody have anything they would like to say or make an announcement of something? Where is Judy? Are you still here, Nurse Judy? Nope.
Yep, I'm still here.
Oh, all right. Why don't you talk about your event coming up?
Well, August 5th, we'll have a little rally in support of Newsom. We'll just kind of walk a few blocks around our headquarters. One, too many of us are too old and whatever to do much more than that. But in spite of rocks through doors, we're still here. So we want to be a presence. We want to support. And for me, it's just a challenge to get people back into the mode and back into thinking communally to get things done.
Okay, well, that's terrific, and I'll do my best to come. I'm not sure if I'm too old, but
well, I think
you can hold me up if
hey,
if
that's
necessary.
it. You can hand out water bottles.
Where is that? Where and when is that again?
It'll be August 5th. You know, what's time? It's just a figment of my imagination. If Chris is here, he can give you more. I forgot what time we're going to have it. I think it's going to be early evening. But we're finalizing that, and we'll have the office open to make signs and stuff too for people. Although we've got old ones in the back too. So, but we've always got supplies in the office.
And because I wasn't clear until I looked at your name again, that's for folks in Hemet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would also like to solicit people's wishes and suggestions for speakers, because we're still in the process of lining up speakers. I've been very lucky to have some rather terrific speakers so far for the last few months. I thought David's was terrific. And I am admittedly biased because he's a friend of mine, but he's a very smart guy. And I like him a great deal. But if anybody has any ideas, suggestions of speakers or what kind of speakers they'd like to see, Francis, is that?
No,
Is that-
just another thought that I wanted to share with everybody. A lot of you know me, dealing with my husband and Alzheimer now, but at the Alzheimer Association this week, we had a representative, a new person employed in Dr. Ruiz's office, and they're working on legislation, as well as Alex Padilla, our senator. He's working on Alzheimer's, and the country is moving forward on that. Thank you.
My assistant here tells me there's Patrick, Dory has hands up. Patrick, Marcy, Gary. All right, let's do it. Patrick, you go first.
Okay, can you,
Yes, we can hear.
Oh, you turned yourself off.
You just muted yourself.
God's sakes, okay. Anyway, I just want to let people know that I'm the organizer of community outreach for DOD. And one of the things we've done in the past is donate money to the Baptist church in the Black community in Palm Springs to help with the needy during the holidays, as far as buying them turkeys and food. Also, we've helped the Galilee Center, giving them food, supplies, and toys in the past. But if anyone has any ideas about community outreach to other communities or groups that are in need, and also a way to get let them know that the Democratic Party cares about them and locally, and not just in legislation, please let me know if you have any groups or communities out
Yeah, I
there
was on the other screen.
you can consider.
Thank you, Patrick. Marcy?
Sure, I just wanted to say again that the September meeting, if you can get that on your calendars now, is that fourth Saturday at 2 o'clock, which is the 25th of September. And we miss seeing all of you and the many more that typically come to those meetings. So we're really thrilled and hopeful that we can get back together, and we want to make it pretty fun. Also, we're going to have some opportunity drawings, hopefully for our, we'll be able to celebrate the defeat of the recall at the same time. But we really do miss you, and we want to have some fun with you and just celebrate all of us together. So thanks for getting it on your calendars right away.
Thank you. Ellie, is that your hand sticking up, or? Ellie K?
Yes, hello. Am I there?
Yes, did you have your hand
I
up?
did have my hand up. I'm going to make it very quick and fast. Please, the office is open on Monday from 10 until 4. I'm sorry. You want to do postcards for our governor, please stop by. We can help you get through that all. Thank you.
Steve Brooks?
Hi, yes, just a thought. I was just reading about Lithium Valley. This is going to be not called the Coachella Valley anymore. They're going to refer to it as Lithium Valley, according to the developers. So I would love to see somebody come and speak about what that kind of development is going to mean to the Coachella Valley. I know that Eduardo Garcia is a huge proponent of all of that, but I don't know what the ramifications of it are. I'd love to be educated. So just a thought for a future presentation, because I just recently became aware of what they're really proposing, which is huge amount of development for lithium mining. So and lots of money and
Out of
all
the Salton
kinds.
Sea.
Yeah,
Out
out
of the
around
Salton
there.
Sea.
Right. Well, I mean, it's in the valley. It's, you know, I don't know what repercussions it has for the air or for anything. I don't know, you know, what the whole plan is. So it'd be great to hear about it.
Okay, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Am I missing anybody? If not, I'm gonna,
Stephen, Charlie had his hand up.
This is Priscilla. I had my hand up.
okay.
And Charlie.
Charlie?
Gary.
And Gary. All right, I'm gonna put the cap on after that. Priscilla, Charlie, and Gary. Okay, Priscilla, you're up.
Okay, I would love to see our AG, Rob Bonta, as a possible speaker. We have learned that he is the person who has authority and supervision over our county sheriff. And we know there's a big issue with wanting to replace our county sheriff. So having Rob Bonta would be wonderful so we can tell him what we think of our local law enforcement.
I know people in his office and I will personally take on that project
Oh,
to try-
great. Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Thank you.
to try to get him to show up.
I think
Either virtually or in person.
in person would be great. He'd be a draw. Anytime.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. That's right. All right. Charlie Era.
Could I ask a quick question about that? Are you talking about recalling the sheriff, or what are you talking about?
No, we want,
That's not a quick question.
No, I mean, because it just sounded like someone said that the sheriff could be replaced. So I'm wondering what mechanism we're talking about. But anyway,
voting.
But
Has to run next year, Steve.
yeah, 22 election.
right. Well, you were talking about, okay. Anyway, thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Charlie, can you unmute and talk?
Unmute Charlie.
Charlie, you're on mute.
Hit your keyboard.
Charlie, unmute yourself. You're on mute.
Charlie, unmute the button.
Can I do it?
Lower left corner.
You'll see a little microphone.
Okay, can you see me?
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Okay, so you can't see me though.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Okay,
We-
well,
we
anyway,
see-
very briefly, at age 91, I'm still learning how to do all this Zoom and things like that. But I want to bring greetings of the Palm Desert Grange Democratic Club to Democrats of the Desert. And we overlap in a number of ways. And one of them is electing Democrats to the Palm Desert City Council. We went from 1 to 2. We now have 2. Okay, and there is a nonpartisan group that's called Drive for 5, and there are several other approaches that we're trying to make to educate so that we can have by 2022 a 5-district election. So the only thing to get that started, a petition, we need 1 to 3 proponents. There is no fee. The city of Palm Desert will waive our fee to start an initiative petition. So if we have anyone that wants to volunteer to be part of that, 1 to 3 proponents, we only need 1 person but to get this thing started at that level. But there's several other groups that are working on this education-wise and postcarding and a lot of different ideas. So we hope to partner with Democrats of the Desert in moving to a 5-district system of voting in the city of Palm Desert. And in that way, we could get more Democrats elected as well as get better representation. So thank you for this opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Charlie. I will just add a footnote to what Charlie said. He's absolutely right. It is very much in the interest of Democrats everywhere to have district elections as opposed to at-large elections or the bizarre setup that resulted in the settlement in Palm Desert. What I want to say is that there is a very important case now presently in the California Supreme Court on exactly this issue. The name of the case is Pico Neighborhood Association versus the City of Santa Monica. And the California Supreme Court is going to rule on the legality of requiring cities to have district elections as opposed to at-large elections. There's no way to know what they're going to do. There's almost infinite number of possibilities legally, what the state Supreme Court can do. But I'll keep everybody posted and stand by. The case is fully briefed and now they're talking it over and researching it. They can take as long as they want to decide this. All right. Gary, are you still here? Can you?
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're the finale.
Great. I just wanted to mention, I shared a link that had been shared with me about a meeting that's tomorrow, Zoom or Mobilize, I guess it is. It's the Riverside County launch of the anti-recall movement. It's from 1 to 3. So does everyone know how to access chat? When you're in a meeting like this, you just go on my iPad, you just go to the More button and then hit the word chat and you can see what's in the chat. It might be different if you're on a computer or something else, but I've shared that link with everyone in the chat room. I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, on a PC, you just go to the bottom of the gallery and there's a little bubble that says the word chat right there, and you click on that. You don't even have to hit the more. It's sitting right there. So, all
Thank you
right.
all.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh, yes.
I got to run off. I've got another meeting.
Yes. Well, I think I'm going to close the meeting. Thank you, everybody. I thought this was a very good meeting. The great speaker, a great exchange of ideas, and lots of information. So thank you very much.
Thank
Let's all take August off from meeting, but let's all put our energy into the anti-recall between now and the end of August or August, whenever it is. And I hope to see you all and more in September at the in-person meeting at the Dade Palm Country Club, 4th Saturday of the month at 2 o'clock. Okay? Thank you all and goodbye. End meeting.